Britta, thanks very much for joining us. You're there obviously as head of research at KGAL. A lot of focus at the moment around particularly anything to do with living, residential markets. I guess, what are you seeing in that sector?
We're seeing a lot of investment potential in that sector. Obviously, it's a difficult market environment. We have increasing interest rates. We don't know where yields are going to be 6 months from now. But the overall perspective in the residential sector is very positive, because we see that the cost of living is increasing almost in all European countries, so that we see households will rather rent than buy property. So we expect the tenant market to increase in the multifamily segment across all European countries where KGAL is active. And this is a trend we see that goes far beyond the current interest rate environment, and it goes beyond the yield correction that we are expecting. So we see this as a mid to long-term trend, that there will be a strong tenant market, and we think that this sets the stage for good investment decisions, where you actually provide the tenant housing, multifamily housing that the markets need.
And there's obviously a big focus as well at the moment around debt financing. You mentioned there the interest rate rises. Does that mean that there's a bigger opportunity at the moment, do you see, particularly for equity investors?
Yes, of course. If you're independent of financing requirements, you have a competitive edge over the classic leveraged investment. So if you see interesting investment opportunities in this market environment and you have the equity ready to go, you'll have a first mover advantage. And it's actually a good position to invest with equity now and do the financing later. In 12 months, we expect normalization in the interest rate environment, and then financing conditions should be more suitable. So it's a competitive edge if you can invest with equity now.
And there's a big focus as well, Britta, around particularly ESG, carbon reduction, regulation coming in, and obviously a big focus at the moment on the potential for stranded assets. So I guess from KGAL's position, that's obviously a key trend that everybody's looking at. But are you also focused on that sort of manage to green element?
Yes, we're looking into manage to green properties, not buying those properties in the market actively, but we do see that some in our portfolio run a risk of stranding. So we have to act as an investor. And we are anticipating this trend far ahead probably of other competitors, and looking at how we can make those buildings we already have in our portfolio better suitable to meet ESG standards.
And just drilling down on that, Britta, I guess, what are some of the strategies that you're employing there?
Well, for example, we have a portfolio of DIY stores or of retail warehouse parks. And all of these parks have flat roofs, so they're excellent for photovoltaic. So we are installing solar panels on top of all those DIY stores in an entire portfolio to leverage the flat roofs, to actually use the sun energy and pass it on to the tenants in those buildings. So the tenants can actually get energy from us.
Yeah, and I think that energy aspect of it and self-sufficiency is becoming a real key talking point in the market at the moment. And I guess looking at the opportunities side, Britta, what are you seeing? Is it driven by some of the key trends, or are there some things that you're looking that are maybe anti-cyclical? What's your sense of where the opportunities are?
Well, I think in every segment in real estate, there is still opportunity. The headlines are very much gloomy, but I think there's still very much potential looking at offices, because you can buy office properties at a nice discount right now if you have the equity. Residential is a long-term trend. Multifamily housing in all European markets will be the most stable asset class going through this cycle. The retail market is going through some structural changes, which also offers new opportunities. And then, of course, there's investment opportunities which so far have been niche markets like senior housing, student housing, potentially life science properties that will give you a stable return in the future. So I think there's opportunities in every segment of the market. You just have to look very carefully.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how a lot of those alternatives like senior living, like data centers and life sciences and healthcare are also coming through into the market. Thanks very much for joining us, Britta.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.